Regarding the robbery incident, I have a question. Your father involved in the robbery? My father? Yes, he is. Is he at home now? Yes, he's here. Would you like to speak with him? The police officer appeared puzzled by my tone momentarily before responding, yes, please. I led the police officer into the house. My father is right here. When the officer saw my father, he was visibly taken aback. Let me take you back a few months. My name is Joseph McCann, Sr. I recently secured a job at a major corporation. While I should feel relieved, there's still one thing I'm uncertain about. Whether I should take over my father's business. He's the president of a local factory. As a child, I once dreamed of inheriting that factory and following in his footsteps. However, during my rebellious phase, I started feeling ashamed of him, always in work clothes, covered in grease. Even as I grew older, that feeling lingered in my heart. Through part-time jobs and growing up, I've come to respect my father's dedication, bearing the responsibility for many employees and their families. Yet I couldn't shake the idea that being an office worker in a suit might seem more appealing. While shopping with my father one day, we were unexpectedly called from behind. Austin. Both my father and I turned around to see a man who appeared to be about the same age as my father. Duncan. It's been ages. This Duncan, dressed in a sharp suit, seemed to be a high school classmate of my father's. He mentioned he was on sales calls for a well-known corporation. So, you took over the family business? Duncan asked my father. Yes, that's right. Still keeping it going, that small local factory, my father replied. Managing a place like that with just a high school diploma. Quite a step down, isn't it? Duncan's words caught me off guard. That local factory was founded by my grandfather, and my father took over as the second generation. I knew he stepped into it right after high school, but I never expected a classmate to mock it, my father reflected quietly. Did you manage to grow your father's local factory? Weren't you planning to take over and make it big back in high school? Duncan's smile remained fixed as he prodded my father. Well, no. Unfortunately, I didn't have the business acumen. That dream never materialized, my father admitted. Ah, that's so like you. Skilled with your hands but not so sharp in the head. But hey, at least you didn't run it into the ground, right? Duncan chuckled heartily, patting my father's shoulder. I've got to get back to work. See you at the next reunion. With that he departed. My father, visibly unsettled by the encounter, muttered, "Shall we continue?" and began walking away. Tourism shopping. In that moment, I couldn't help feeling that my father's work, casually belittled without any defense from me, was being mocked. The decision between taking over his company or pursuing a position at a prestigious corporation now heavily leaned towards the latter. A few weeks later, my father's reunion took place. By coincidence, it was held at the restaurant where I worked part-time. The day was bustling, and initially, I managed to avoid serving the table where my father's reunion was seated. I thought myself fortunate, but eventually, the moment arrived. Bringing drinks to my father's gathering felt a bit awkward, but it was my duty. Our restaurant featured private booths exclusively. As I peeked into the spacious room designated for my father's group, he greeted me warmly near the entrance, saying, "Oh, Joseph. Is he your son?" A nearby woman inquired. My dad introduced me as his son, prompting me to politely respond, "Oh, nice to meet you. My father is in your care." As I placed the drinks on the table, I endured the inebriated classmates' remarks about how much I resembled my father or how serious I seemed, then made a hasty exit. From across the room, Duncan spotted us and called out, "Joseph, wasn't it? We just spoke the other day. Are you still planning to take over Austin's local factory?" When Duncan drunkenly questioned me, I responded with a mix of disdain and honesty, "No, I'm still weighing my options." Duncan then loudly advised, "Don't bother with it. Austin's company is nothing special. Joseph should aim for a position like mine instead of taking over that small-time business." He launched into a self-congratulatory tale of his career, but something felt amiss. He had claimed to be in sales during our last encounter, yet now he boasted about heading the accounting department. I sensed a discrepancy but chose to stay silent, wary of causing a scene. However, my father, influenced by alcohol, couldn't hold his tongue. "We just saw each other recently. Did you switch departments so soon? It's only been a few weeks. Quite a rapid promotion, eh? Sales didn't suit you." His words silenced Duncan, who stuttered in response. Yes, that's right. Sales wasn't my thing. I moved up to head the accounting department right after the switch. That's odd. I heard your company merged with a global enterprise, and the accounting functions moved overseas, didn't they? My father's observation revealed that Duncan's touted company had indeed merged into a global corporation. Others seemed aware of this but had refrained from commenting, leading to laughter at my father's remark. Hey Duncan, how's it going? Head of accounting at that merged company, right? My father's innocent question shattered Duncan's composure. Please, enough. I can't stay at this gathering. Embarrassed and frustrated, Duncan stormed out, his footsteps echoing loudly. I hope I didn't say something wrong, my father mused, concerned. Those around reassured him that it wasn't his fault. Duncan had always been sensitive. Seeing my father praised for his straightforwardness made me proud. Despite being a bit tipsy, he had the courage to voice what others struggled to articulate. It was admirable. 6 months passed. I continued grappling with the decision of whether to take over my father's company. But uncertainty weighed on me daily, leaving me increasingly confused. Then, one relaxing day at home, the doorbell rang. Since my mother wasn't home, I answered it. Yes. Hello, Mr. McCann, right? The visitor was a uniformed police officer. Startled, I replied nervously, yes, that's right, as worry crept in about what might be wrong. The officer said, I have some questions for your father regarding a robbery. Robbery? My father, I repeated, shocked. Yes, he's at home. Should I call him? Yes, he's here. Would you like to see him? My tone left the police officer momentarily puzzled, but he responded, yes, please. I pointed to this photograph on the altar. Here's my father, I explained. He passed away in a traffic accident. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss, the police officer said sympathetically. I asked him, who accused my father of robbery. I can't disclose that information. I apologize for the intrusion today. After expressing his regrets several times, the police officer departed. Who could have accused my father of robbery? I was frustrated, but soon found out. A few days later, I was at my father's local factory, now taking over since his passing. My mother had been helping out, but at over 50 years old and having limited experience with my father's work, it felt inadequate. It was up to me now. That's when Duncan burst in, demanding, Austin, come out. Give back what you stole. The factory's noise drowned out his words, but Duncan's voice cut through clearly, startling me. I wasn't the only one taken aback. The other workers paused in surprise as I addressed Duncan. My father isn't here. Then he's at home. Call him here. I've been robbed and I'm in trouble. Among the workers, I heard someone murmur, robbed the boss. Duncan, arms crossed, remained resolute, angrily insisting, bring out Aston. I confronted him. My father wouldn't steal from anyone. Are you sure there isn't a misunderstanding? No, it was Aston. He must have been jealous of my job at a big company and took my wallet. Fortunately, I didn't have it on me, but it's unacceptable that he robbed me. The police are useless, so I came here myself. Let me talk to Aston. Oh, when did this robbery supposedly happen? About 2 weeks ago, Duncan replied hesitantly, sparking murmurs among the workers. He seemed taken aback by their reaction. When I pressed him, it really was 2 weeks ago. Duncan's temper flared at my persistence. He shouted, what's the matter with you? Why do you keep questioning me? I already told you it was 2 weeks ago. I and Elite came all the way to this small, greasy local factory. Let me see Austin now. Duncan's outburst ignited a surge of heat in my chest. Enduring his disdain for my father's work and his employees at their workplace was tough enough, but accusing my deceased father of robbery was unbearable. He passed away in a traffic accident a month ago, so he can't be here, I informed Duncan. His face registered surprise. What? I pressed on. How could my father, who died a month ago, commit robbery? Are you sure you were actually robbed? I had learned at a recent class reunion that Duncan was prone to lying. Moreover, classmates revealed that Duncan had harbored a pointless rivalry with my father since their school days, fueled by unrequited affection from a girl who admired my father. I could have forgiven Duncan for trying to implicate my father in a crime based on such a petty rivalry. So, are you suggesting he committed robbery just before he died? Just as I was about to confront Duncan, who persisted in his accusations, a voice from another direction shouted, the boss would never do such a thing. He's a very serious person. That's right. The reason we're always short-staffed is because the boss teaches us skills and encourages us to be independent. He always prioritizes his employees and clients over profits. He was a good person. The voices defending my father echoed, causing Duncan to falter. Their praise deeply moved me. I felt ashamed for ever thinking my father's work was embarrassing. He was a boss respected by his employees and loved enough for them to defend him even in this situation. Tears welled up in Duncan's eyes as more voices in support of my father echoed through the factory. I delivered the final blow. I will definitely bring this to the police, accusing my father falsely. With that, Duncan let out a cry and rushed out of the factory. Following that, I went to the police to report Duncan's attempt to frame my father. As I had promised, the evidence included Duncan's statement, recorded on a mobile phone by one of the thoughtful employees. The police acted swiftly upon receiving the evidence, and Duncan was apprehended shortly thereafter. Duncan's attempt to frame someone with false charges landed him behind bars for a while. He had mocked my father while he was alive and continued to slander him even after his passing. I found some solace in thinking that he deserved the consequences. A few days later, a woman claiming to be Duncan's wife visited to apologize to my mother and me. When I asked if Duncan's vendetta against my father stemmed from the reunion incident, Duncan's wife sighed and confirmed, "Yes, that's right. It seems it struck a nerve. The reunion triggered it." It turned out Duncan had once been a high achiever but had lost his job and struggled to find new employment. Meeting my father seemed to trigger something in him. Duncan's obsession with status led him to fabricate stories which unraveled when he drank and contradicted himself, ultimately embarrassing him. In his rage, Duncan decided to scapegoat my father, I said, stunned by the absurdity of it all. Duncan's wife shared my disbelief and revealed she intended to divorce him. Without children, and did face a lonely future, even if he were to be released from jail. After graduating from college, I made the decision to take over my father's company. With my father recently passed away, I felt apprehensive about managing the business. However, the memory of the employees defending my father when Duncan falsely accused him stayed with me. It inspired me to strive to be a boss who earns the love and respect of my team, a lesson I deeply internalized. While my background in business school prepared me for the managerial aspects my father handled, I relied on the staff to teach me the technical aspects they were experts in. Their response was always supportive. "We'll teach you everything you need to know." As the boss's son, they willingly shared memories of my father, each story highlighting his remarkable character. "Dad, you were truly amazing. I regret not realizing it sooner while you were with us." "I'm sincerely sorry," I murmured to his picture, stained with oil after a day's work. I felt ashamed of ever considering his work uncool. These days were a testament to his dedication and hard work. "I'll strive to become a boss like you, Dad. I'll work tirelessly to make your dream a reality." I spoke to his picture, feeling as though my father was smiling back at me. My goal is to honor my father's legacy by expanding our local factory, a family business since my grandfather's era. I'm determined to carry on his vision.